Okay, guys, this is me here for just a little bit of a breakdown of the Mistweaver abilities. I'm just going to start with the basic spells. I'll move into talents, and I may take a glance at glyphs just for a little bit. But alright, so the first two things you probably notice are these right here. These stances that all monks have, and each spec has a different stance that they use. And the Mistweaver spec uses this one, the stance of the Wise Serpent. It increases your healing, and it does. It gives you mana. It increases your hit and expertise from Spirit, and your attack power scales with spell power. And of course, the big passive that makes Mistweaver so iconic is its Eminence, which you heal allies for half of the damage you deal. So that's why Mistweavers like to do damage while they're healing, and they have more damage-like abilities like the Crackling Jade Lightning, which will deal actually a pretty good amount of damage. So you will hit them, you'll be dealing a good amount of DPS while your allies will be being healed. And Expel Harm is another, where you heal yourself, but then you deal damage for that amount of healing, or a little bit more, to the nearest enemy. And then that damage is, of course, cut in half and then made into healing for all of your allies and everything. So there's also Renewing Mist. I'll go ahead. That is like a Druid's Rejuvenation, except it can jump to other allies nearby and party members, and it can only be cast on party members. So it's like if you take Rejuvenation and Prayer of Mending from priests, and you get Renewing Mists. I don't think it heals as much as Rejuvenation, but it is a very unique and pretty core spell for the Mistweaver. And then, of course, there's Soothing Mist. That's probably the biggest one that you may see from Mistweavers. Now, okay, I should not turn that way. I've got my graphics up on Ultra for you guys, so I don't want to turn around because Pandaria is not very optimized. And Soothing Mists, let's go in here. I'm at the Horde capital city in the Vale of Eternal Blossoms. So I'm going to just pick an NPC and see if I can find... There we go. And see that little beam of mist going from your hands to the target. And it's like penance on steroids is how one of my favorite streamers call it. It's a channeled heal, but you see that mana cost 3,000 mana plus 3,000 per second, so the mana keeps draining as you channel it, but it's not that significant because I've got 306,000 mana, and that healing is very powerful. I usually get about 20k, a little bit over 20k per tick, and it generates chi. Well, it has a chance to generate chi each time it has a successful heal. And then there's Surging Mist, which is just a direct heal, like Flash of Light or Flash Heal, which will, it's basic. And it'll generate chi. Like all these three abilities, Renewing, Soothing, and Surging Mists, will all generate chi whenever you cast them, except for, Soothing Mist has that chance. Chi Wave is a chi burner that, well, it's on the second tier of talents. Let's go ahead and show you that. There's two chi costing abilities that both do healing and damage. Chi Wave, Zen Sphere, Chi Burst. Zen Sphere is what I used to have, and you'll probably see that from my old videos, but it's kind of buggy right now at this level. So I dropped it and got Chi Wave back that I used at the very beginning, which you'll find in my Temple of the Jade Serpent videos. Chi Burst, it'll send like a little missile, like sort of thing, a straight target, straight path towards your target, and deal damage to enemies on the path and heal allies on the path. The numbers are smaller than Chi Wave, so that's why I kind of like Chi Wave. But I've been using Chi Wave for so long, and it's just kind of something that came naturally to me. Zen Sphere, it you've seen it work on my videos. It kind of hovers over your target's head, and does damage to enemies around you, and it heals you. It's nice if the numbers were higher and they made sense, because then I'd be dealing, I don't know, maybe 16k to 20k per tick, and that damage would be healing. But right now it's not worth it. And then if you hit Zen Sphere again after you've got 2 more chi, and you just click the ability again, it'll cause the sphere to detonate, basically healing an instant amount, and then dealing damage in an instant amount that's usually greater than a tick. And that'll just cancel the whole ability. It'll fade as soon as you click it. So Chi Wave, my favorite. I like to do this. I don't know if it'll work between NPCs. Yep, didn't. But it bounces between allies and enemies. I don't know why it doesn't bounce between allies if there's no enemies nearby. Maybe that's intended, maybe it's not. But it will heal each ally it hits and deal damage to each enemy it hits. And it bounces around 5 times, up to 5 times. And the damage, of course, will be converted into healing due to your Eminence passive. And that's Chi Wave. Okay, and Mana Tea is another very big move. That is how you get your mana back after you've been draining it. You can notice that these mana costs are actually pretty big. And if you spam abilities a lot, if there's like a lot of people taking damage at once, and you just need to get that mana back after you've been spamming abilities, Mana Tea is perfect, because every time you spend 4 chi, you'll get a stack of Mana Tea, and each stack of Mana Tea can recover 4% of your mana, and it's a pretty cool animation. You pull up a little jug, and you drink out of it, and your mana will kind of go back up tick by tick, and it's nice when you have a lot of stacks stored up through fights, because then you can go down from like 25% up to 75% or more if you don't spend them during the fight, which sometimes it is necessary to do so. And the Healing Sphere is also the mastery of the Mistweaver. It makes these little green spheres of mist on the location you pick, and if an ally walks over them, which apparently I'm not hurt enough to get the healing, that's a nice addition. I didn't even notice they did that, but you'll get healed for 35,000, and the mastery will, like, on a chance of a heal, will generate one of these near an ally, and I don't really think that's very good, because allies generally don't take the time away during a fight to walk over one, so I don't really gem or enchant any mastery. I prefer more like haste and crit. So, and the big statue. This is another one of my favorites. It's looking pretty cool. Little scales there, the dragon, the whole aura to it. It also gives an eminence, which means now, while it's up, I'll heal for 100% of the damage I deal. And the Serpent's Accord passive, it will do a Soothing Mist to the nearest injured ally. So if I do that, you can see the other Soothing Mist coming out from the top of that statue. But, of course, it's only hitting me because it prefers me whenever there's nobody with less health. If one of these NPCs had less health than I did, it would be healing one of them. This is a relatively new ability. I don't use it too much unless it's a dire circumstance. It costs 3 chi, so but it is a very powerful heal. Look at that, 212,223 over 6 seconds. And then it increases the healing received to the target from my Soothing Mist. And, oh, I forgot to mention this. When you're casting Soothing Mist, your Surging Mist, when it usually has a cast time, and Enveloping Mist are both instant. So, and it doesn't break the channeling either, so it's pretty nice. Resuscitate is just a very high mana cost resurrection. Nothing to say about that. Expel Harm, I think I already described that one. You heal yourself and deal damage to a nearby enemy. It generates chi. And Spinning Crane Kick has seen some changes lately. It's still the same. You spin around, you deal damage to enemies. But now, what is this? On this little Mistweaver specific teachings of the monastery. Okay, so this was different before. It was just you heal for like the 100% of the damage dealt by Spinning Crane Kick. It used to have a lot less damage though. So now you heal up to 5 nearby injured allies for 4,638 every second. Now this is not even including the Eminence buff. So even if I'm not hitting anything, nearby allies will get healed by this. Okay, and that's pretty much my bar. Oh, Uplift. Definitely I need to mention that. That is a instant heal to anyone who has Renewing Mist on them in my party. And it will also increase the duration by 6 seconds. So that's kind of like Fell Flame from a Warlock, but in like a healing form. It increases Renewing Mist duration like Fell Flame increases Immolate's duration. Chi Torpedo is a level 90 talent, along with Invoke Zwen and Rushing Jade Wind. It replaces Roll. If you remember, I had Roll in this spot before I turned level 90, and what it looks like is this. As you spin around through the air as you rush forward, and there's mist coming off and everything. It'll heal anyone you run through, and it'll deal damage to any enemy you go through, and I think the numbers are a little bit low right now, because it is rather weak and not very useful. And it's kind of disappointing as a 90 talent. I might go to Rushing Jade Wind just to see how it goes. But it is pretty cool just to look at. And then Thunder Focus Tea. I don't use this much. I probably should, but I don't. And it doubles the healing done by Uplift and Surging Mist for 30 seconds. And yeah, it's by your next one. So if you use either of those, it'll just remove the effect. And yeah, it costs 1 chi, so not too expensive. It's just been on my bar, and I just don't use it much because it manages to elude my mind, and I've never really needed it. Life Cocoon is like it's like powered shield from a priest in a way, but it looks way cooler. Nice green shiny bubble, little yellow markings and runes and stuff going around, and it increases the healing you receive. So it does absorb a lot of damage, and it also can be through my glyph I can cast it while I'm stunned. And Detox is just a dispel, low cost. It removes magic, poison, and disease. So Curse and yeah, curses are protected, and bleeds are as well. Legacy of the Emperor is like Blessing of Kings. Has a nice little bell. Zen Meditation is pretty cool looking. It's what you do is you start meditating in the air. I'll click it for you. It's shiny, little runes swimming around you, and it reduces all damage you take by 99%, and it reflects, or by all nearby allies for 99%, and then it reflects all spells and ranged attacks. But if you're hit by a melee attack, it'll cancel. So if you're like getting attacked by a bunch of mages or warlocks or something, hit that, and all their spells will reflect unless they find a way to silence you. Unfortunately, I don't know if that's intended to be able to be silenced while it's happening, or I don't know. And Revival is a nice, like, oh crap button. I'm not gonna curse. If your team is getting pretty hurt, you just hit that button, and it'll heal for 53,000, or 54,000 if you round it. And it also clears them of everything Detox does, magic, disease, and poison. And this is everyone within sight. and so it's pretty powerful if you're in a large raid. Jab, that's with any spec. I don't use it because it's high mana and low damage, and I have better ways of going about getting chi. I have Expel, Harm, I have Renewing Mists. I just don't use Jab. I could if I was really feeling crazy. Okay, you probably remember me having Charging Oxwave that I just didn't use. Leg Sweep is just another talent in that tier. They're all like stuns, basically. And what Leg Sweep does is you kind of do like a spinning crane kick animation, and you stun everyone around you for 5 seconds. And that's turned out to be a lot more useful in PvP than Charging Oxwave has. So, like if you're just getting, especially as a healer, like if you're getting swarmed by people, just stun them and Chi Torpedo out, I guess. But what I used to have is Charging Oxwave. It just looks pretty, really is why I had it, because I never really used stuns for any reason. Probably will in raids, but it brings a little, or it throws a little ox kind of thing, like an ox head, in front of you, and anything it hits, it will stun. That's just my drink. And Paralysis, or Touch of Death, is actually pretty cool. You've probably heard of it, and maybe even that it's overpowered, when in reality it's not really that overpowered. It's costs 3 chi for one thing, so it's kind of expensive. It will kill the enemy that it hits, but it has to have less total health than, or it has to have less health than you have total. So I have 371,000, and if I found an enemy that had 400,000, but I bring them down to 360, and I have 3 chi, I can cast Touch of Death, and it'll kill them instantly. But it can't be done on players. It can only be done on NPCs. Paralysis is also universal in spec. These two are both universal in spec. Paralysis is just like Sap, but you don't need to be stunned, and I don't think, yeah, it does not last as long as Sap. So in a way, it's like a melee range Repentance from a Paladin, and you can increase the range with the talent Deadly Reach to 20 yards. And this is a really cool ability. I'm not going to use it right now because I don't think it's working properly. It may be, but I'm just not going to try it. Zen Pilgrimage, it'll take you to a place in Kunlai Summit. It's monk exclusive. It's like the Death Knight Acarus Ebb and Hold kind of thing for monks. It's got monk trainers. It's got monk NPCs. It's probably going to have more NPCs by the time the game expansion comes out. And you can use it as like a free transport to Pandaria, really. At level 30 is when you get this. And it's kind of weird. I don't think they meant the mountains to be low enough where you can just jump over and go to Shadowpine Monastery. But right now it can be used that way. Transcendence is a level 87 spell. So you don't get it on it as soon as you have a pre-made. But casting the first part will make a little ethereal form of you. And, wow, I'm having some jumps there, but I don't know what's going on. And they'll just kind of float there. And say, if I was to walk over here, you know what, if you remember the old demon circle for warlocks, it's almost identical. Cast that, and we switch positions. If I go over here, there he is. So, that's just probably more of a PvP focus thing, or maybe, I don't know, some boss that you have to like keep running back to a certain place. That's pretty much it for the abilities, at least, that I use. Let's check my spellbook and see if there aren't any. Zenflight. Yes, this is a glyph. I'm going to walk outside for this. Bear with my frame rate loss here. I can take this Ultra Graphics anywhere else outside of Pandaria, but okay, now that I face this, is not so bad. Zenflight, it's an instant mount on flight. It's awesome. We get to sit on a cloud and float there, like the BAs we are. And it's like a 150 mount that you get at level 60, and it's just for fun. It's a glyph. It's probably going to be one of the very most expensive glyphs on the auction house when a Mistweaver comes out. And, oh, if you want to see, here's a dragon turtle mount. This is the one I got because I like the color green. Okay, let's look at talents. Celerity is like, it allows you to roll one more time. And I used to have momentum, and then I had celerity before that. So, what momentum does is when you roll, you gain a little movement speed bonus. Or in my case, chi torpedo. And it stacks up for each time you roll when you have momentum. That's twice. So, celerity, it just gives you an extra time to roll, and it reduces the cooldown by 5 seconds. So I can chi torpedo 3 times, and it gives me a little bit more opportunity to heal with it, even though the numbers are so small. Tiger's Lust, it's pretty self-explanatory. It's like, what was it, Heroic Fury or something from the Fury Warrior talent tree that is in Cataclysm and World of Wrath of the Lich King versions. Not anymore. It just removes immobilizing effects. This is kind of like a medallion replacement, and it also increases your movement speed by 70%. So it's like sprint plus medallion equals Tiger's Lust. We've talked about second tier. Okay, third tier. Power Strikes is something I would probably use as a Brewmaster if you're not using Ascension. As a Windwalker, I think it's bugged right now in the beta because stance of the Fierce Tiger, it already increases the chi generated by your jab and expel harm, and this would increase it again. It seems that it doesn't do anything, because I remember on my first Windwalker I played, I haven't tried it in a long time, but the first Windwalker I played, whenever I used Power Strikes, I still generated only 2 chi with each jab, regardless. So, I don't know, it may be fixed now. I'm just, as a Mistweaver, I don't need it, because I don't jab. And, for Ascension is the one I like, because sometimes I just generate chi not even knowing about it. And, like, I don't need to burn it. I'm doing pretty well on mana. I'm just going to end up generating chi. It just allows you to have 1 extra chi. So you can cast, like, a 2 chi spell, and then a 3 chi ability. So if I'm desperate, I can hit Chi Wave, and then Enveloping Mist really quickly. And Mistybrew is what I used to have back when I was like level 86 and 87. It just restores all your chi. It's nothing special. Talked about this. Healing Elixirs, Dampen Harm, Diffuse Magic. This is probably the most irrelevant tree other than this one. Or tier, not tree, sorry. This one, you just heal yourself whenever you drink something like Mana Tea or Thunder Focus Tea. Dampen Harm, it reduces the damage you take. 3 stacks. And Diffuse Magic is just a master spell. And really, it's just Revival without the heal. I wouldn't get it. I have Revival, I don't use it that much, and whenever I do need it, it's probably not going to be needed to use twice. And then, of course, the last tier that you get at level 90. Chi Torpedo, Zwen, and Rushing Jade Wind. I might switch to this sometime, so I'll just read the description if you can't. You summon a whirling tornado that travels 30 yards in front of you, dealing 5,396 nature damage to all targets in its path, and increasing damage taken by your spinning crane kick by 30%. So that may be useful for me, but I don't have it. Invoke Zwen, the White Tiger, is a Windwalker ability. I love it as a Windwalker, but it's really no good. It could be good for a Mistweaver if you think about it, because it's dealing damage, and that damage is going to heal. So it deals, it attacks your primary target and inflicting Tiger Lightning every 6 seconds to 3 nearby enemies, which deals 92,470 damage over 5 seconds. So that would probably be useful if you think about it. if you want Eminence to work pretty hard, I might try that sometime, actually, now that I think about it. It looks fun as a Mistweaver, but, I mean, I use it as a Windwalker, no problem. It's a really cool-looking ability, because Wen has a really cool model. And Glyphs. Life Cocoon, yeah, that's the one that lets me cast it while stunned. And Surging Mist, this is the way Surging Mist used to be. They changed it to where it just became like a flash heal. It now is a smart heal. It chooses the most injured target and heals them. Unless you're using Soothing Mist, of course. And Glyph of Retreat, this was not a spec-specific glyph. Like a lot of these now have little specs under them to tell you who will use them. And this one just reduces your threat if you roll away. So I thought that was useful if I have aggro or something. And there's really nothing else I would want. These are just, of course, just convenience glyphs. What I did is I chose Water Roll, which allows me to roll over water, and then Spirit Roll, which is actually pretty cool. You can roll while dead. And Zen Flight I showed you. Whee! That's still fun. If we could surf on it, it could be like Goku. And that's the Mistweaver, guys.